He was asked a question. Someone said, what impressed you so much about Australia, this great country of Australia? What impressed you the most? And he stopped and thought for a few moments, and he said, this is what impressed me the most: how well the parents obey their children. And how true those words are, friends. How well the parents obey their children. When I was a child, I would obey my parent. Nowadays, it seems to be that the parents are the ones that are obeying their children. There's an article that came out in the Sunday Herald Sun, November 13, 2005. And it said this. The title was, Kids Rule the Roost. More than half of Australian parents admit they can't control their children. A report on 4,500 parents in Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney found 56% feel they are failing to deal with bad behaviour. About 52% reported suffering high levels of stress when trying to discipline their kids, and 1/3 admitted needing professional help. You've got 1/3 of parents in Australia, friends, that are admitting they need professional help to deal with their kids. This is simply telling us that the Bible is correct and that these signs are fulfilling before our very eyes. Sign number 14, the iniquity abounding sign. In Matthew 24 verse 12, as Jesus once again goes on, he's giving those different signs. He says, and because iniquity or sin shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. You know, today there's a great lack of love, mercy and compassion in many people's lives. People are unresponsive to the needs of others. This is why we find such a lack of compassion in homes, divorce, broken homes, selfishness, self-centeredness. It leads to sadness, it leads to suffering, and in the families of our society, it usually leads to divorce and family breakdown. We find in our society today, sadly, that there's been a 30% decrease in marriage, 40% increase in divorce, where more than one in every second marriage ends in divorce, and of course many don't even get married today. So that doesn't even count when they break up. The love of many shall wax cold because people are living sinful lives. Their hearts are not responsive to the needs of others, and sadly they're not even responsive often to their own children. You know, in our world today, I find this hard to believe, but this is the statistics that came out. They estimate there are around about 46 million women around the world each year that have abortions. They decide that this precious little child that they are having, that should be a bundle of joy in the family, is not wanted. So it's aborted, which really means that they've killed their child. 46 million women around the world are having abortions each year. Now, when you look at that in context, we find that in our world today, every year they estimate there are around 100 million babies that are born. So there are 100 million babies being born each year, but we're also told there are 46 million abortions. So that basically means for every second baby you see, every 2 babies that you see, 1 baby has been aborted around this world. Every 2 children that are born, 1 child has been aborted. The love of many is waxing cold in the hearts, in the families, in the minds of people today. Sign number 15, the environment sign. Notice this very, very interesting passage of Scripture, Revelation 11 verse 18. Now it's talking about the second coming of Christ. And it says these words, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Here we find the Bible tells us that when Jesus comes back to this earth, he's also coming back to destroy them which destroy the earth. Are we finding ourselves as a planet today, as I speak, are we destroying this earth? I think it's very, very obvious to anybody who just reads a newspaper or who listens to the world that planet Earth is in big trouble, isn't it? I don't have to try and labour with you to try and prove this point. Every single day in our newspapers, on our news, we are finding that scientists are saying we are in big trouble. We have global warming. We have the ice caps that are melting. We have seas that we are told will rise 5 metres. And the Time magazine has been covering this, and one magazine that came out recently, it's got their Time special report on global warming. And the The title page caption says, "Be worried, be very worried." And it's got a picture of a polar bear there on a piece of ice in the middle of the water. We are finding today that we are being told that our earth is basically being destroyed, and if we don't do something about it fast, it's all over for planet Earth. When at the same time, the Bible's telling us that Jesus said, when I come back, I'm coming back to destroy those who have destroyed the earth. We are destroying the earth today. And we are seeing these things happen right before our very eyes. You know, strangely enough, a little while ago, I was talking there before how I was in Vanuatu and I had an earthquake in Vanuatu while I was over there running some meetings like this. Well, at the same time, I visited a small island. This little island is called the island of Nuna. Very small island. There's a little church there, and I was asked to go there to speak at this little church, which we did, my family and I. And while I was there, I got talking to some of the locals because the little church was probably about 20 metres from the ocean. And as I was talking to one of the gentlemen from the church, I noticed that there was a big tree that had fallen down into the ocean. And I commented by saying, "Oh, it's a big tree that's fallen into the ocean there. The waves have eroded away the bank and it's fallen down." And he said this. He said, "That tree 10 years ago was 20 metres from the ocean." He said now, just last little while, it was eroded away, it fell into the ocean. He said in 10 years, 20 metres of our land has disappeared. I said, "Have you guys ever heard of global warming, you know, the seas rising and this sort of stuff?" He said, "Heard about it. We've had scientists around here." He said, "We haven't just heard about it, we are seeing it happen right before our very eyes. In 10 more years, we expect our little church, which is now 20 metres from the ocean, to be falling into the ocean if time permits." We are finding today, friends, that the seas are beginning to rise, that the temperatures are changing, that the polar caps are melting, that we are finding our world filled with toxic chemicals, with pollutants, the waterways, the oceans. It's like there's nothing on this earth that hasn't been contaminated in a negative way by mankind. The rainforests of the world are being cut down. One football field every second. The rainforests of the world are like our lungs. And we are finding ourselves simply destroying planet Earth. In a nutshell, this summarises it. We are using 30% more natural resources than what nature can regenerate to supply our wants and our needs. And often it gets back to our financial side with the rich men of the world, heaping treasure for the last days. Often to do that, they do what? They destroy nature to produce things that you and I often don't even need, to make money to satisfy their hunger for wealth. But we are finding today, we are told that we're using 30% more natural resources than what nature can regenerate, which is telling us we're about to go bankrupt. Back in 2002, this came out. Scientists agree world faces mass extinction.